Thank you. Good afternoon. You know, I don't know, every time I hear that introduction, it makes me feel old. And I can't tell if it's because it goes on so long or because it goes back to 1985. But it's great to be here. I really appreciate the opportunity to be with you once again. And let me welcome you to this afternoon session of our National Milk Producers Federation, UDIA, and National Dairy Board joint annual meeting. This is a great opportunity for our organizations to update you on all of our activities in the policy and the promotion world, talk about what we're doing to advance the ball, to address the challenges and capitalize on the opportunities that are before us as a great industry. And you know, it's really the partnership, this great partnership that we have between our organizations, which makes these collective efforts so valuable, so important, and so impactful. You know, working together, as we do on a daily basis with our colleagues at DMI and the Innovation Center for U.S. Dairy, we're tackling all these issues that we're talking about this morning and going to be talking about this afternoon and over the course of tomorrow. And working together collectively, we make a great, undeniably dairy great team. I'm really happy to have the opportunity to be with you to talk a little bit this afternoon about a couple of issues, but really get in more into a little bit different approach we've taken in the annual meeting this year. Let me start first, though, by touching base on this morning's town hall session. I hope you were as proud as I was of the expertise, the passion, the commitment that you saw from our staff handling all these various issues. And that was really just the tip of the iceberg. We try to cram as much as we can in that town hall session in the morning, but it really could go on all day long and into tomorrow with all the issues that we're trying to address on your behalf. But I just am so pleased to have that team of people. I can sit back and marvel at their depth of knowledge, which is critically important, but it goes beyond that. It is the passion, it's a commitment to work on your behalf that makes that team, my team, your team, so effective. And as you heard this morning, there's a lot going on in Washington. We've got the Farm Bill before us. That's going to play out over the course of the next several months. You heard Paul Bleiberg talk at length about that, and you guys have been engaged in our efforts over the course of the last year, efforts that started a year ago at this meeting, where we put together, coming out of this meeting, recommendations for the Congress to utilize in this Farm Bill debate. And I'm pleased with the progress we've made to get to this point. I think going forward, we can't predict exactly what's going to happen, but the unity that exists in the dairy producer community across the country on the importance of fixing this dairy safety net program is going to deliver results for us. And another historic development, which Randy touched on this morning, is it's going to be more than just the producer community pushing to get this done. We've worked with our colleagues in the processor community, International Dairy Foods Association, to pull them together with us and try to go to Congress as a united team to move to get a better, more effective dairy policy in this Farm Bill. And I'm pleased that with the endorsement of the National Milk Board yesterday and a key policy proposal having to do with Class 1 milk pricing, that we can pull our teams together, have for the first time in my long career, have producers and processors going to Capitol Hill together to support a unified dairy program in the Farm Bill. That's a huge development, and it's happened because we're all trying to work together. It's been fostered by DMI and the Innovation Center, by bringing producers and processors together at the table. That has been very effective for us over the last many years to move away from some of the challenges we've had in the past and move the ball forward. I'm not going to talk at length at all about the other issues that were touched upon this morning. The immigration challenge is huge. It's been an intractable issue for a long time, but we're working hard to get a reasonable compromise in that effort. It's going to rely upon efforts of all of you, though, as well, speaking to your legislators. The problem on the issue of immigration reform is the policy debate is in the ditch on both sides of the road. And we have too many Democrats who won't support a middle road position, and we have too many Republicans who won't support a middle road position. The biggest problem we had in this vote last week in the Judiciary Committee, we had no Democrats supporting the bill, and we had a number of Republicans that wouldn't support it. And frankly, if the House Judiciary Committee Chairman Bob Goodlatte had not convinced a number of House GOP members to not vote, that bill probably wouldn't have passed. It passed by 1 vote. We need folks, and many of them are your representatives in rural areas across America, to support a bill, an ag guest worker bill, to relieve the pressure we have in our workforce issue on immigration. We can get a bill done. We can find common ground in the middle, but they need to hear from you. And if you know who your members are, know what their position is on this issue. If it's not in support of us, let them know that that's a problem. The trade issues that were talked about this morning, we've got all kinds of them going on. And the NAFTA issue is huge for our industry. I'm not going to go into any detail on that right now. Shawna did a great job, and Jaime did a great job talking about the challenges we face in trade. But know that we are pushing very hard to maintain what we've got in Mexico. That's the most important market we have. We can't lose access to that. So a loss of NAFTA would be disastrous for our industry and for much of U.S. agriculture. That's a message that's resonating across Capitol Hill. So we're going to keep delivering that message on Mexico, and the problem for us is Canada. I'm pleased to say that the administration recognizes our concerns on Canada and have embodied in the U.S. proposal in those negotiations provisions that would help address our problems both with the high tariff wall maintained by Canada, as well as this new problem with Class 7 that Randy talked about this morning. Beth did a great job talking about our battle on imitation dairy products. I talked to you about that one last year, and this has been one of the most intense fights we've been in all year long. Just want you to know, as Beth said, this is not going to end. We're going to fight and fight and fight until we get this done. We met with FDA this summer. That's the message I delivered to them. They need to enforce their standards of identity that have been on the books for a long time, and they need to do it now. And if they won't do it, we're going to have Congress tell them to do it. But we're going to keep pushing, and we're also going to push this issue in the media, because one of the things that we have realized is consumers really don't understand the nutritional inferiority of these products. So by raising visibility on this issue with consumers, they're looking more closely at labels to understand what's in it, and that's helpful. But it's also a platform for us to talk about the great nutrition of milk, because while all of you know that, and a lot of consumers and the public understand milk has got a lot of calcium, it's got some protein, they don't understand that it's the #1 source of 9 nutrients in the diets of children. And it would be the #1 source of those same nutrients in adults if adults drank enough milk and consumed enough dairy products. So that's a platform to get across this message. We're going to fight this until we get it, until we win, and we're not going to relent. And we've told that to FDA, we're told it to Congress. We're going to keep pushing on your behalf. One last issue that I just want to mention, we didn't talk about this morning at all. Wanted to save it for this afternoon. That I talked to you about last year, this issue of fear-based marketing going on in the dairy industry and across the food marketing community. It's one that is doing great damage to the food industry and to agriculture, and it's one that we have stood up and pushed back very hard and strongly against. I talked last year about the Dannon Pledge, their claim that by moving to sourcing milk from cows that had not consumed GM feed, that their milk supply would be somehow more sustainable, when in fact the opposite is true, and we all know that. Our concern was that others would follow suit, and that's what I talked about last year. We've seen what happens. The snowball begins rolling downhill, picks up steam. Others have to jump on that marketing bandwagon and do the same thing. We stand here a year later, and then it is indeed what's happened. In the yogurt space, there are new products out there that are now marketed as sourced from cows that have not consumed GM feed. And we know where that goes if it keeps going out across the dairy industry on all of our products. We've seen it before. So we are fighting very, very hard. This is not going to go unchallenged. We've been working over the course of the last year to put together a campaign to battle this. And I'm pleased to announce in late August, we launched the Peel Back the Label campaign to challenge this kind of fear-based marketing going on. We're talking to consumers about the marketing flim-flam that food companies are engaged in on the GMO issue and others, because any use of fear to sell product is a race to the bottom. It's lazy marketing, and it's marketing that hurts all of us who are producing food and fiber in America. So the campaign is extensive. It is aimed both at food companies directly as well as at consumers, to build awareness of what's really going on. Peel back that label and understand what is happening with some of the marketing claims that are out there. We've posted a number of case studies on the website, launched initially with 5 case studies that looked at products that are labeling themselves as GMO-free. Hunt's, their ketchup and tomato sauce, had a GMO-free label on it. Florida's natural orange juice, labeled non-GMO. Dannon yogurt was one of those. True Moo, the Dean Food chocolate milk product. And finally, something called Himalayan pink salt. Each one of those, we expose what's really going on. When you look at tomatoes and oranges, interesting that they're GMO-free, there isn't a GMO tomato or GMO orange on the market. They don't exist. All oranges, all tomatoes are GMO-free. You know the problem with Dannon, we talked about that. And Dean was an interesting case because on their website, Dean acknowledges that their milk that they're marketing comes from cows, many of whom have consumed GM feed, and they affirm the safety of GM technology, which is great. Happy to see them do that. But then the marketing campaign is no GMOs, no worries, implying that GMOs are something to worry about. That's the problem, and that's the kind of marketing we've got to stop. It's trying to establish some distinction where there's no difference, but it suggests a difference with the conventional product being inferior. That's what we've gone after. Now, the last one, Himalayan pink salt. Interesting. I wasn't a great chemistry major in college, but the last I knew, salt was a mineral. Minerals don't have any DNA. So, of course, it is a non-GMO product. Last week, we posted 5 more case studies of products doing more fear-based marketing. Those are the ones on the right-hand side. And we're going to keep doing this. We're going to name the companies that are out there doing this problematic marketing. We're going to keep fighting. We're not going to stop on this. We're not trying to boil the ocean. We can't solve this issue, but we're going to stay at it because it's very important that we get consumers to understand and think more critically about this issue. The media focus has been helpful. The Los Angeles Times did a major article last week on this very issue. That's the kind of coverage. I encourage you to go to the LA Times website, look at that story. That's the kind of coverage we're trying to generate across the country on this issue to have the impact we need to turn the tide on this. So stay tuned, stay supportive. We are going to urge consumers to peel back the label. We're going to address this issue, and we're going to push back on those who are trying to market fear instead of trying to market good food.